Hey Bethlehem, this is Pastor Paul, and we've been in this sermon series called Living in Grace as we look at the book of Galatians. Now, Galatians is probably the first letter that the Apostle Paul wrote, and he wrote it to these churches that he established on his first missionary journey in the province of Galatia. And these churches were made up of mostly non-Jewish or Gentile people. And what's happened is that Jewish Christians, now the early church, the earliest people of the church were all Jewish followers of Jesus, people who grew up with the law. And so they've come in behind Paul and said, no, to really be God's people, you have to follow the law. And so Paul is writing to them to help further their understanding, to help them understand that you aren't made righteous, you aren't made accepted by God through obedience to the law, but rather faithfully following Jesus. And so Paul has spent time explaining where he got the gospel, defending his message, defending his apostleship. And so as we look here at Galatians chapter 3, verses 1 through 14, Paul is continuing his defense of the gospel, of what he taught them. And he makes two arguments. The first argument is the argument of experience. And Paul tells them or asks them questions like, when did you receive the Spirit? Why are you abandoning the way of the Spirit and faith for the way of the law? And why did all these miracles happen? Did they happen because you were following the law or because you were following Jesus? You put your faith and trust in Jesus. Paul wanted them to understand, like, God has shown that he has accepted you by giving you the Spirit. You are part of his family because you received the Spirit. You received the Spirit based on your faith in Jesus, not based by your obedience to the law. Then he makes an argument from Scripture. He reminds them that, hey, the Scriptures say that Abraham was declared righteous. And Abraham was declared righteous before God gave Israel the law. So Abraham, the example of Abraham is not that his righteousness was due to his obedience to the law. Rather, it was due to his faith in God and faith in God's promise and the way that he trusted God and lived that out. He also goes on to say from Scripture points to this time when God's family is expanded to include all the nations of the world. And it's expanded based on our faith in Jesus. Just as Abraham was declared righteous because of his faith, we are declared righteous because of our faith. The law can't make us righteous. It only can condemn us. It only can bring us curse. And thank God, Paul says, because of Jesus, we are free from the curse. And so our big idea this week is that God's global family is made up of everyone who faithfully follows Jesus. God's global family is made up of everyone who faithfully follows Jesus. And our challenge this week is simply this: to pray and ask God to make Bethlehem a multicultural church. To pray and ask God to make us a multicultural church, because that's how we demonstrate God's character. That's how we bear God's image, by combining our faith, our love, our efforts into one. And as different and diverse as we are working towards the same goal. And in that, God's glory is seen. So pray that we can truly be a multicultural church. Hey, Bethlehem, thanks for supporting us. Thank you for being part of our family. And we ask that you would continue to support us, continue to give. You can give online. Go to our website, BethlehemChurchAustin.com. Follow the Give tab. And thank you for your prayers. Have a wonderful week, and God bless.